Hello Stampers! We're going to be turning to fall before long, and I just wanted to start using some fall colors in today's card. I decided to do a pine tree reflection, and this scene comes together fairly quickly. It's not difficult once you know the steps, so we're going to go through them step by step as usual, and we're going to start with our basic white panel, and this is a 2 by 4 3/4. So it's just a little sliver of a panel. All the dimensions for this card are down below this video. Just click show more and you'll see them all down there, along with the links to the products that I'm using. I am using one of my favorite stamp sets today. This is in the annual catalog for Stampin' Up, and it's the Grassy Grove stamp set. And it just has some great elements in it that I've used over and over and over again in scenes to create different scenes with them. So, I mean, there's grass and two different kinds of trees. Then you have this rock formation or ground with some ground cover. And the deer, of course, and some lovely sentiments. So it's hard to go wrong with this stamp set. So we're going to be using it today just for the pine trees. And I'm going to start with some of my background colors. I'm going to use Calypso Coral to start out with. I'm going to use a blending brush. Just going to get some of that color, and I'm just going to start here at the top of the cardstock, and I'm just going to get some color all the way down. Now this doesn't have to be extremely dark. You just want to have some good color. Remember, this is our background color. So we don't want it, you know, so vibrant. This is supposed to be like a twilight type scene. And instead of blues, I decided to use some different colors today. So like Calypso Coral. And then I'm going to go to a berry color. This is Berry Burst. And we're going to add this. Let's say the top third a bit here. And then we're going to use some here at the bottom. And we're leaving that Calypso Coral so you can see it really well there in the middle. Then we're going to go to Blackberry Bliss. And we're going to add some of this at the top. This is where we get pretty dark for our stars to show up in our sky when we put them in. Now just don't cover up all of your berry burst. And then I'm just going to add just a hint of that at the very, very bottom, just to give it another place to be in our scene. So there is our sky, so simple. And then we're going to come back and do some trees, and I'm going to do one stamping with Calypso Coral here. And this double tree stamp is what I'm using for the pines. Just ink that up. Before I forget, I'm going to put, I have a little plastic piece here. This comes out of the Stampin' Up stamp sets. A lot of time with the clear stamps that you get a layer of this on top. It's just a real thin sheet, but you could use a window sheet for this type of work too. So I'm just putting it here kind of in the middle of that Calypso Coral a bit, covering the bottom of my cardstock because I don't want these trees as tall as they are. So I'm going to make them a little shorter. And you're going to see when I stamp them, see they're short there. And so that's how I want them. And then I'm going to turn this around and I'm going to mask all but about 1/8 inch of those pines there. And I'm going to stamp them again, only upside down, just to get some more of that color down here at the bottom, kind of overlapping them. And that way we have trees for our reflection and trees for our upright position. We're going to do that same thing, and then we're going to change colors here. And that was Calypso Coral, and then we're going to go to Blackberry Bliss. We're going to get some dark trees in here. So again, I'm just going to turn this around and I'll move it over so that you can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to put it in the same place that I did when I stamped my top trees here. And ink my stamp up. I'm just going to stamp these again. You can put as many trees along here as you want. I'm going to put one over here. And again, I'm going to turn that paper. See, we just have our top trees. I'm going to turn this paper and cover the top. And then I'm going to stamp these trees upside down, covering the ones that we did before. All right, so there we have that. So now I'm just going to add, I'm going to take a sponge, and I have my little clear sheet down here covering the bottom. And I'm just going to have the very base of the trees here so that I can see them. And I'm going to take a sponge and some of this Blackberry Bliss, just a little bit. And I'm just going to go back and forth along the edge of that plastic sheet. And I'm just going onto the paper just a bit. And that's going to give us a line for our ground. Now you can make that ground as thick as you want. I think I'm going to go a little thicker here. And maybe just a tiny bit more. There we go. So we have that line going there. If you're not comfortable doing that, you can always take a marker and a ruler and create that same line, but I think it looks a little more organic when you use the sponge. So that was the Blackberry Bliss. So now I just want some white water lines and such, and I'm going to get out this Dr. Phil Martin's Bleed Proof White. Now I talked about this in the last little quick tip that I did on my videos, so you can review that if you want to, but it's just white watercolor. And I decided to use this instead of using white gel pen. So if you have a white gel pen and you want to use that by all means. But I'm going to this because I kept on having problems with my gel pens drying up and such. And I can use it with this little tiny paintbrush. This is a size 0. This is just easy to use. You just dip in. And I'm just going to create some little lines going across. And this is a bright white. It's opaque, so you can't see through it. And I'm just creating some lines in this, like little dashes. You can do thicker ones or thinner ones. And I wanted to show you too that if you've got a line you don't like, you can wipe it away really quick. And then put another line. And if you put some on your brush and you just work your way down a little bit, you can get lighter and lighter as you go down your page. And then I wanted to show you something else. People ask me, well, how do you write with this? Well, you can use a dip pen. This is a traditional dip pen with a nib. And then what I like to use is I have this glass one. And the glass one's a lot of fun to use. It works in the same way as that other does. It's just prettier, I think. And you dip it in. You can wipe it off just the tip. And it will give you those real fine lines that you want. And that you can write with. I'll show you. I have a little black scrap paper here. And you can certainly write with this, just like you would a pen. And it actually goes for quite a while before you have to re-ink it. So the ink flows down these little grooves. So you can do your dots with it, and I think I'll do my dots up here in the sky for our stars. Just add a little color there. And just little dots. Do it randomly. And if you do it real quick, then you get more random dots for your stars. There you go. So there's our stars in the sky that you can use. You can use this for snow. You can use it for all kinds of different things. But yeah, certainly for your water lines and such. And anything else that you wanted to use that white for. Just add it on. And one thing about this Dr. Phil Martin's Bleed Proof White, it won't take on the color underneath like this dark color. Like if you use a gel pen, a lot of times it'll take on that color. So those dots would end up pink if you're using a gel pen. But with this Bleed Proof White, you're not going to have that problem. It's not going to take on that color from underneath. So there is that. And then when you're done with your dip pen, all you have to do is give it a rinse or just wipe it off really good. You want to make sure that you get in those grooves so that they don't block up on you. But that's all there is to that. So easy, super, super simple. So that's that Bleed Proof White. Okay, so we have our scene done. So we're going to go on and we're going to start assembling this card. And I have a piece of white here, and it's just 1/4 inch larger than this main panel. So we're going to use that as our backing piece. I'm just going to glue it together here with some multi-purpose glue. I just love how easy that little reflection scene was. There we go. And then I'm going to also add it to a berry burst piece. And that berry burst piece is 2 1/4 by 5. So just a little bigger than that white panel we put behind it. I like that white trim that goes around there. It makes that scene just pop. Okay, and then I have a berry burst card base here, and this is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, and then it's folded in half to create a quarter card. Inside, I added a Blackberry Bliss panel that's 4 by 5 1/4, and then a Calypso Coral panel that is 3 3/4 by 5. And then I have another Blackberry Bliss panel. This is also 4 by 5 1/4. I embossed this Blackberry Bliss panel with a embossing folder that's the Countryside Blossoms embossing folder, really pretty embossing folder. So I ran that through the Stampin' Cut emboss machine with this Blackberry Bliss panel that is 4 by 5 1/4. And then just to get that color to pop out, that design to pop out a little better, I'm going to just take the Blackberry Bliss ink pad and just lightly go over it, and that brings out that design a little better. Just use the same color that you used for your panel in ink, and then you have this to where it comes out. Just pops out a little better. So we're going to put this on the front of our card here, put a little glue on it, add it to the front of our card. There we go. And then I have some strips here that I'm going to put on. These are Calypso Coral. These are 1/2 inch by 3 1/2, and I cut 3 of them. And we're just going to add these to the front of our card. I'm just gluing mine on, but you use whatever adhesive you want. And I'm just bringing it to the edge of that Blackberry Bliss embossed panel. And I'm just going to try to get this a little straight here. There we go. And it's just a little something for the front of our design here. And I just try to get them as close as I can. I'm eyeballing these. There we go. So there is that. And then we're going to put our main panel on, and I'm going to pop this up with Stampin' Dimensionals. I like a lot of dimensionals on my cards. I don't, they're cheap to use. You get so many per sheet. So I don't like my main panels to cave in because I chinched out on the dimensionals. So I'm going to put this on, and I'm going to put it on over here towards the left side. I'm just going to lightly lay it on and then give it a look. See if I have it where I want it, and I kind of like that where it's at. Okay, and so I'm going to put a little bling on here now. And these are the 2023 25 in color dots, and I'm going to use Moody Mauve color here. Pick my tool. I'm going to use the large ones here. I'm just going to put one on the end of each of those. I think these are so pretty. Okay, so we have that, and then I think I want a little ribbon on here, and I'm going to grab this black and white gingham ribbon. I'm just going to get a little length of it here, enough to tie a bow, decent sized bow with. And since it's black and white, I want to use a Calypso Coral Stampin' Blend marker. I'm going to use the brush end, but I'm going to use the side of the brush end for this. And I'm just going to go over it. This dries really fast on there. And then you have the color that matches your card. And of course you can use any color that you have Stampin' Blends, and see how it soaks through the back. But if you want it a little darker in places, just you do the back too. It's a simple way to color your ribbon up. And then I'm just going to tie a bow. Then when you have it how you like it, you can kind of get the ends to where you want them and then pull it tight. Give it a fluff. I like to yank my legs down here. I call them legs. And then I'm going to give them a trim. There we go. And there is our bow for the front of our card. I'm just going to use a mini glue dot here for this. And I'm going to roll it up to make a line out of it. And then you can stick it to the back of your bow. And then stick it on your cardstock where you want it. I'm just going to go right under one of those little dots that we put on. And then I'm just going to fluff the ends of my bows out a little bit where I've squashed them. Here we go. So there is my finished card for today. I hope you like this project and that you give it a try. Here's my original. Thanks for joining me today. Toodles!